The silver doors of the docking bay hissed open. Jiho straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. After 3 years as chief xenobiologist on the horizon, this moment would define his career. The first official diplomatic delegation from the Astral Confederation was about to board their ship. "Nervous?" Captain Tai asked, standing beside him. "A little," Jiho admitted. "I studied their biology for years, but meeting one in person." The airlock cycled, and 3 figures emerged. 2 were clearly security escorts, tall and rigid in posture. But between them walked a smaller being that immediately captured everyone's attention. Nari, the diplomatic representative, moved with a fluid grace that reminded Jiho of water flowing. Her skin shifted with subtle patterns of blue and purple light that pulsed gently. Where humans would have legs, her lower body tapered into a flexible appendage that seemed to glide rather than step. Her large, almond-shaped eyes took in the human reception party with undisguised curiosity. "Welcome aboard the Horizon," Captain Ta said formally. "I present Dr. Jiho Kim, our xenobiology specialist, who will serve as your guide during your stay." Jiho bowed slightly. "It's an honor to meet you, Representative Nari." Nari made a gesture with her slender arms, and her skin flashed a bright pattern of yellows and whites. The translator device on Jiho's wrist converted this into speech. "The honor extends mutually. Your species has created much interest within the Confederation." As they walked through the corridors of the station, Jiho noticed how Nari's eyes kept dropping to watch his legs as he walked. "Is something wrong?" he asked. "Forgive my attention." Nari's skin pulsed. "Bipedal locomotion is uncommon in our section of the galaxy. The way you balance on 2 separate limbs is remarkable." Jiho smiled. "Would you like me to explain how it works?" Her skin brightened noticeably. "That would be most educational." In the ship's lounge, Jiho found himself in the unexpected position of demonstrating walking, running, and even jumping for the fascinated alien diplomat. Several crew members had gathered to watch, trying not to laugh as their serious xenobiologist performed what amounted to a physical education display. "So the knee joint allows for both stability and flexibility," Jiho explained, bending his leg. "And our hip socket is quite different from most species, allowing for a wider range of motion." Nari moved closer, her eyes wide. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward his leg. Jiho hesitated, then nodded. "Of course." With gentle touches, Nari examined his knee joint through his uniform pants, her skin flashing with rapid patterns of blue and green that the translator couldn't keep up with. Jiho caught the eyes of his captain, who was clearly trying not to smile. "The efficiency is remarkable," Nari said finally. "Your species evolved as pursuit predators, correct? You chased prey until it became exhausted." "That's right," Jiho said, impressed by her knowledge. "Not many aliens know that about us." "I studied extensively before this mission," Nari admitted. "But seeing the actual mechanism in action is different from reading data. Your legs allow you to navigate uneven terrain that would be challenging for many species." As they continued the tour, Jiho noticed how smoothly Nari moved despite her different physiology. "May I ask about your locomotion?" he asked. "It seems very efficient." Nari's skin shifted to a pattern of soft purples. "My people evolved in shallow seas before moving to land. We retain the fluid movement of our ancestors. We cannot climb or jump as you do, but we can squeeze through spaces that would block your rigid skeleton." In the science lab, Jiho demonstrated various human technologies. When he climbed a ladder to reach a high shelf, Nari's skin flashed with excitement. "Vertical climbing. So easily," she exclaimed. "My people would need assistance devices for such tasks." Jiho realized that what seemed ordinary to him was extraordinary to Nari. Her fascination wasn't just diplomatic politeness, but genuine scientific curiosity. "Would you be willing to allow basic physical measurements?" Nari asked suddenly. "For scientific exchange purposes only." Captain Tai, who had been quietly observing, coughed. Perhaps we should discuss the diplomatic agenda first, she suggested. Later, over dinner in the mess hall, Nari continued her observations. She watched in fascination as crew members sat in chairs, crossed their legs, or stood casually on one foot. Your entire civilization is built around your bipedal nature, she noted. Your furniture, your corridors, even your art reflects it. Jai-Ho nodded. I never thought about it that way. Just as your architecture must accommodate your form of movement. Indeed, our homes have no stairs, only smooth ramps. We sleep in pools, not on raised platforms. As the evening ended, Jai-Ho escorted Nari to her specially prepared quarters. At the door, she turned to him, her skin glowing a warm orange. Tomorrow, would you show me more of how humans move? Perhaps in your exercise facility. I'd be happy to, Jai-Ho replied. We could even demonstrate some of our sports. Sports. Her translator crackled with the unfamiliar word. Games we play using our physical abilities. Some showcase the full capabilities of our legs and arms. Nari's skin pulsed with bright patterns. How fascinating. On my world, we have coordination displays, but nothing that involves rapid locomotion. As Jai-Ho walked back to his quarters, he found himself smiling. What had begun as a formal diplomatic meeting had turned into something more interesting. A genuine exchange between curious minds from different worlds. Nari's fascination with his legs, something he had always taken for granted, made him see his own species through new eyes. Tomorrow would bring more official meetings and serious diplomatic discussions. But for now, Jai-Ho was enjoying this reminder of why he had become a xenobiologist in the first place, to discover the wonder in our differences and the connections that transcend them. Jai-Ho entered the ship's gym with Nari floating beside him. Several crew members were already there, some running on treadmills, others lifting weights. All eyes turned to the alien diplomat, whose skin rippled with excited blue patterns. This is where we maintain physical fitness, Jai-Ho explained. Each exercise targets different muscle groups. Nari moved closer to a woman doing lunges. Without warning, she reached out and touched the woman's thigh. The crew member jumped in surprise. Nari. Jai-Ho quickly moved between them. I'm sorry, Lee. Nari is still learning our customs. The woman nodded awkwardly and continued her workout. Jai-Ho pulled Nari aside. On our ship, touching others without permission is considered inappropriate, he explained quietly. Nari's skin flashed confused patterns of yellow and green. But how can I properly study the muscle movements? Visual observation is insufficient. That's understandable from a scientific perspective, but humans value personal space. We need to ask before touching someone's body. Nari processed this. Your customs are complex. Among my people, physical contact for scientific inquiry is welcomed. Jai-Ho nodded. Cultural differences. We'll work through them. As they continued the tour, crew members demonstrated various exercises. Nari watched with undisguised fascination as humans bent, stretched, and jumped. Your bipedal locomotion allows such variety of movement, Nari said, her skin pulsing bright colors of excitement. May I request a demonstration of your maximum jumping ability? Jai-Ho performed a simple vertical jump. Nari's skin flashed so brightly that several crew members shielded their eyes. Remarkable. On my world, such vertical movement would require mechanical assistance. Throughout the day, Jai-Ho struggled to manage Nari's enthusiasm. In the mess hall, she slipped beneath the tables to observe people's legs as they sat. In corridors, she followed too closely behind walking crew members, studying their gait. Each incident required another gentle explanation of human boundaries. Your species seems unnecessarily restrictive about bodily observation, Nari commented as they headed toward an afternoon diplomatic meeting. How do you exchange important biological information? We have medical examinations for that, Jai-Ho explained, but casual observation of certain body parts is considered private. Which parts specifically? Nari asked, her translator struggling to keep up with her rapid color changes. Jai-Ho felt his face warm. That's actually a complex topic tied to our cultural history. Before he could continue, they arrived at the conference room. Two other alien representatives had joined the delegation overnight. Unlike Nari's fluid form, these aliens stood tall on multiple thick tentacles. Their names were Dole and Quan, representatives from the older species in the Confederation. "The human walks with the Luminar," Dole observed coldly. "Unusual to see your kind so comfortable with new species, Nari." Nari's colors darkened defensively. "The humans have been most educational. Their bipedal locomotion offers evolutionary advantages we had not fully appreciated." Quan made a dismissive gesture with one tentacle. "Simple mechanics, hardly worth the excitement. Their primitive technology remains concerning." Jai-Ho maintained a diplomatic smile. Captain Ta had warned him that not all Confederation species supported human membership. The meeting proceeded tensely. While Nari spoke positively about cultural exchange, Dole and Quan repeatedly questioned humanity's readiness to join the galactic community. "Your species only recently discovered faster-than-light travel," Quan noted. "Many believe this invitation was premature. Yet humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability," Nari countered, her colors shifting to formal patterns. "Their physical form allows them to navigate environments that would challenge many member species." "Their physical capabilities are irrelevant," Dole responded. "It is their mental development that concerns us. Their history shows persistent violence." Jai-Ho noticed how Nari positioned herself closer to him throughout the exchange. Her protective stance wasn't lost on the other aliens, whose tentacles twitched with what he guessed was disapproval. After the meeting, Jai-Ho found himself cornered in the corridor by a group of laughing engineers. "So, how's it going with your alien admirer?" Min asked, barely containing his amusement. "I heard she was caught studying Yun's calves in the bathroom." Jai-Ho sighed. "She's a scientist, like us. Her species communicates differently and has different boundaries." Sure, Min teased. "But you have to admit, it's funny having an alien obsessed with our legs. Who would have thought our basic biology would be the most interesting thing about us?" Later that evening, Jai-Ho found Nari in the observation deck, her colors muted in what he had learned to recognize as a thoughtful state. "Are you all right?" he asked, sitting beside her. The meeting seemed tense. "Dole and Quan represent conservative factions," Nari explained. "They fear what humans might bring to the Confederation. They find my interest in your species inappropriate. Because you're studying our physiology." "Because I find value in your differences rather than threat," Nari clarified. "My people believe in learning from diversity. Theirs believe in maintaining established order." Jai-Ho nodded. "Earth had similar divisions before we unified. Change is always frightening to some. May I ask a personal question?" Nari's colors shifted to a gentle blue. "Has my examination of your locomotive abilities caused you discomfort?" Jai-Ho smiled. "Sometimes, yes, but I understand your scientific curiosity. I just need to help you understand our social contexts." Nari seemed to consider this. "Among my people, color patterns express both emotion and intent. We cannot hide our interest or curiosity. Your species conceals much." "That's true," Jai-Ho acknowledged. "We often find directness uncomfortable." "Tomorrow, the full delegation arrives," Nari said, her colors darkening. 7 more representatives. Not all will be as open to humans as I am." "We'll manage," Jai-Ho assured her. "Cultural understanding takes time." As they watched the stars together, Jai-Ho realized how complicated the path to galactic membership would be. What had begun as an amusing cultural misunderstanding about personal space and fascination with human legs now seemed entangled with larger political tensions. "Jai-Ho," Nari said suddenly, her colors shifting to a formal pattern, regardless of the diplomatic outcome. "I value our scientific exchange. Your bipedal form may seem simple to some, but I see in it the beautiful efficiency of convergent evolution." Jai-Ho smiled. "And I find your fluid movement equally fascinating. Perhaps that's the real value of this mission, seeing ourselves through new eyes." A small alert chimed on his communicator. "The captain needs me," he said, standing up. As he walked away, he noticed Neri's colors following his movements with the same fascination as before. Some things, it seemed, transcended politics. The alarms blared throughout the station, red emergency lights pulsing in rhythm with the deafening noise. Jiho had been in the research lab analyzing some of Neri's biological data when the crisis began. Warning: environmental system failure in sectors 3 through 7. All personnel evacuate immediately, announced the calm computerized voice that contrasted sharply with the chaos erupting around them. Jiho grabbed his tablet and rushed into the corridor. Crew members ran past him, heading toward the evacuation points. Through the crowd, he spotted Neri's distinctive bioluminescence flickering with patterns he recognized as distress. "Neri," he called out, pushing against the flow of people. "Are you all right?" Her colors pulsed rapidly. "Something is wrong." The other delegates were meeting in Sector 5. Now they're trapped. The ship shuddered. Captain Tay's voice came over the emergency channel. "This is not a drill. We have evidence of deliberate sabotage to the environmental systems. Gravity will be affected in damaged sectors. Engineering teams are working to contain the damage." Jiho felt a chill. "Sabotage? Who ruled?" "We must help them," Neri interrupted, her colors shifting to urgent reds. "The path to Sector 5 crosses damaged areas. My form cannot navigate the compromised sections." Jiho checked his tablet, pulling up the station schematics. "The main corridors are sealed off. There's a maintenance tunnel that might work, but it's going to be rough terrain." "Then I cannot go," Neri said, her colors dimming. "My body. It cannot climb or jump." Jiho studied her fluid lower body. "I've always wondered how your species moves so gracefully. You never explained." Neri hesitated, her colors shifting to deep blue patterns Jiho hadn't seen before. "It is not something we discuss with outsiders." Another alarm blared, and she seemed to make a decision. "But now is not the time for secrets." Her skin displayed complex sequences of light as she spoke. "My people were not always as you see us. Long ago, we had limbs similar to yours. Fossil records show we were bipedal creatures who walked on land." "What happened?" Jiho asked, fascinated despite the crisis around them. "Our star began to emit stronger radiation. Those who evolved away from rigid skeletons toward more fluid forms survived better. Over thousands of generations, we adapted. We gained our bioluminescent communication, but lost what you still have: the ability to climb, jump, and navigate difficult terrain." The ship shuddered again. A nearby panel sparked. "My fascination with your legs is not merely scientific curiosity," Neri admitted. "It is genetic memory, a biological echo of what we once were." Jiho nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "That's why you've been so interested. You're seeing an evolutionary path your species didn't take." "Yes, and now that different path might save lives." Neri's colors formed urgent patterns. "You must go. The other delegates don't understand humans as I do. They need help." Jiho checked his oxygen level on his wrist device. "I'll go, but I need you to guide me remotely. Can you access the station systems to track my position?" Neri moved to a nearby terminal, her slender arms working the controls with surprising dexterity. "Connected. I will monitor your progress." Jiho grabbed an emergency kit and headed toward the maintenance access point. The narrow tunnel was designed for repair drones, not humans. He dropped to his hands and knees and began crawling forward. "First junction ahead." Neri's voice came through his communicator. "Turn left." As Jiho progressed deeper into the damaged sectors, the effects of the sabotage became apparent. Gravity fluctuated unpredictably. In some sections, he had to pull himself along in near-zero gravity. In others, he felt twice as heavy as normal. "There's a vertical shaft ahead," Neri warned. "You'll need to climb up 3 levels." Jiho peered up the dark shaft. Maintenance rungs lined one wall, but several were missing or damaged. I see it. He began the climb, testing each rung before putting his weight on it. Halfway up, a violent tremor shook the station. Jiho lost his grip and fell several meters before managing to catch himself. Jiho. Nari's voice was filled with concern, her translator barely keeping up with her rapid color changes. Are you injured? He winced at the pain in his shoulder but continued climbing. I'm fine, just a bit bruised. When he finally reached Sector 5, he found the door to the conference room sealed by the emergency systems. Through the small window, he could see the alien delegates inside. The environmental systems had failed completely, and ice was forming on the walls as the temperature dropped dangerously. I need to override the door, Jiho told Nari. Guide me through it. Working together, they bypassed the security protocols. The door slid open with a hiss of escaping air. Inside, Dole, Quan, and 5 other alien representatives huddled together, their environmental suits activated, but clearly running low on power. A human. Quan's translator crackled with surprise. How did you reach us? No time to explain, Jiho said, checking their life support systems. We need to move quickly. Follow me. Dole's tentacles waved dismissively. The route is impassable. Our movement capabilities are limited in these conditions. That's why I'm here, Jiho explained. I can help guide you through the sections your bodies cannot easily navigate. The journey back was arduous. At one vertical section, Jiho had to create a pulley system to help the tentacled aliens climb up. In a zero-gravity corridor, he anchored himself and pulled them along one by one. His legs and arms, the very limbs that had so fascinated Nari, proved essential for their survival. When they finally reached the safe zone, medical teams rushed forward to help the delegates. Captain Tay approached Jiho. Well done, Doctor. How did you manage to reach them? Before Jiho could answer, Nari glided forward, her colors displaying a pattern he recognized as pride. He used the evolutionary advantages his species retained that mine abandoned. Dal and Quan exchanged what appeared to be meaningful glances. Perhaps, Quan admitted reluctantly, there are certain practical benefits to human physiology we had not fully considered. Later, as the emergency teams worked to repair the damage, Jiho sat with Nari in the medical bay. His shoulder was being treated by an automated system. Thank you for sharing your evolutionary history with me, he said quietly. It puts your fascination in a new light. Nari's colors shifted to gentle blues and purples. Our scientists have long debated whether our evolutionary adaptation was completely beneficial. We gained much, but we lost something too, something your species preserved. Different evolutionary pressures, different results, Jiho observed. Neither better nor worse, just different paths. Nari's colors brightened, and today, those differences saved lives. As the station slowly returned to normal operations, Jiho realized that the crisis had revealed something important, not just about Nari's fascination with human legs, but about the complementary nature of their different evolutionary paths. Sometimes, what seemed like an awkward cultural misunderstanding was actually a window into deeper truths. The investigation into the sabotage moved quickly. Security footage showed someone tampering with the environmental controls, but the image was too blurry to identify the culprit. Jiho studied the data in the ship's analysis lab, frustrated by the lack of progress. Any luck? Captain Tai asked, entering the lab. Jiho shook his head. Nothing conclusive. The saboteur knew our systems well enough to avoid clear identification. That's concerning, the captain said. We received a message from Confederation Central. They're calling for an emergency vote on human membership. Some factions are using this incident as evidence that humans aren't ready to join. Jiho frowned. That's convenient timing. Later that evening, Jiho found Nari in the observation lounge. Her colors were muted, displaying patterns he now recognized as worry. The vote is being rushed, she said without preamble. This is not normal protocol. Someone is manipulating the process. Jiho sat beside her. Do you think the sabotage and the vote are connected? I do. Nari's colors shifted to a thoughtful blue. But I lack proof. The conservative factions led by Dol and Quan have always opposed human membership, but I never thought they would resort to sabotage. Jai-Ho considered this. What if we work together? You understand Confederation politics, and I bring a fresh perspective. Nari's colors brightened slightly. An alliance? Yes, that might work. They began by reviewing the station's security logs together. Jai-Ho noticed something unusual. Look at these access patterns. He pointed to the screen. Someone used diplomatic override codes to enter restricted areas just before the sabotage. Nari studied the data. Those are high-level codes. Only senior delegates would have that level of access. Can we trace which delegate used them? Not directly, Nari admitted. But there's another way. Her colors shifted to a determined red. Each species has different movement patterns. If we analyze the security footage frame by frame, I might recognize who it is by how they move. They worked through the night, examining every scrap of footage. Near morning, Nari suddenly brightened. There. She pointed to a shadow barely visible in the corner of one frame. That's a Kraxin movement pattern. They have a distinctive three-part gait. Jai-Ho checked the delegation records. There are no Kraxin delegates on board. Exactly. Nari's colors pulsed with excitement. But Ambassador Sun has a Kraxin aide. An aide who would have access to Sun's codes. And Ambassador Sun is one of the strongest voices against human membership. Jai-Ho added, the pieces falling into place. They took their evidence to Captain Tai, who immediately increased security around the remaining delegates. This helps, but it's not enough to stop the vote, the captain said. The Confederation Council meets in 6 hours. Nari's colors darkened. We need more time. Without conclusive proof, the vote will proceed. Then we need to get that proof, Jai-Ho said firmly. And I have an idea. Jai-Ho's plan was simple but risky. He would pretend to have discovered additional evidence and watch how the suspects reacted. Nari would observe their color patterns and movements for signs of guilt that other species might miss. During an emergency meeting of all delegates, Jai-Ho made his announcement. We've isolated unique biological traces from the sabotage site, he said confidently. With Ambassador Nari's help, we can identify the exact species responsible within hours. He watched the reactions carefully. Most delegates seemed merely interested or concerned, but Ambassador Sun's aide visibly stiffened. This is unnecessary, Sun objected. The Confederation vote should proceed as scheduled. Nari moved closer to Jai-Ho, her colors shifting to a pattern he hadn't seen before. The aide, she whispered. His colors show fear patterns, and his posture changed when you mentioned biological traces. Jai-Ho nodded slightly and continued. The most interesting evidence is a residue we found on the damaged control panel. It contains cellular material unique to certain species. The aide suddenly stood. This is just a human delay tactic, he declared. They know they will lose the vote. Security officers moved toward him, but he was faster. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Instantly, the station's lights flickered. Secondary sabotage detected. The computer announced calmly. Communication systems compromised. He's trying to cut us off from the Confederation Council, Captain Tai realized. The aide made a break for the door, but found his path blocked by Dol and Quan, their tentacles forming an effective barrier. You dishonor the Confederation, Dol's translator stated flatly. After the aide was detained, Jai-Ho and Nari worked with the engineering team to restore communications. With just minutes to spare before the vote, they established a connection to the council. Nari addressed the assembled representatives, her colors displaying formal diplomatic patterns. Honored Council, I present evidence that the incidents aboard the human station were orchestrated by those who fear human membership. Their fear is not of human aggression, but of human adaptability. She gestured to Jai-Ho. This human scientist used his species' unique perspective to uncover a plot that our traditional investigation methods missed. When our evolutionary paths diverged, my people gained some abilities but lost others. Humans retained capabilities that complement our own. Jai-Ho stepped forward. We don't ask to join the Confederation because we're the same as you. We ask to join because we're different. Our unique evolution gives us perspectives and abilities that can benefit everyone. The council deliberated briefly, then announced their decision. The vote would be postponed for a full investigation. Later, Jai-Ho and Neri stood at the observation window, watching stars streak by as the ship resumed its journey. "Thank you," Neri said, her colors glowing warmly. "Not just for uncovering the plot, but for showing me a new way to see differences." "What do you mean?" Jai-Ho asked. "My people have always prided ourselves on our evolved form," Neri explained. "We saw the loss of our limbs as pure advancement. I believed I was studying your legs out of scientific curiosity, but now I understand I was actually recognizing the value in your different path." Jai-Ho smiled. "That's what makes a good alliance. Different strengths coming together." "The council will take time to reach their decision," Neri said. "But whatever happens, our two species have formed a connection that cannot be undone." As they stood together watching the stars, Jai-Ho realized how far they had come from their awkward first meeting. What had begun as Neri's fascination with his legs had evolved into something much more meaningful, a recognition that different evolutionary paths could lead to complementary strengths rather than competitive weaknesses. Their alliance had not only uncovered a plot, but had begun to change how the Confederation might view humanity, not as primitive newcomers, but as valuable partners with unique perspectives to offer the galactic community. 1 month after the sabotage incident, the Horizon docked at Earth's orbital station. The Confederation Council had concluded their investigation and called all parties to Earth for the final decision on human membership. Jai-Ho stood nervously in the grand reception hall. Delegates from 27 alien species filled the room, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of galactic life. Humans in formal diplomatic attire moved among them, careful to observe the proper protocols for each species. "Nervous?" Nari asked, gliding up beside him. Her colors displayed a pattern he now recognized as gentle amusement. "A little," Jai-Ho admitted. "The Council has been deliberating for weeks. This decision will shape Earth's future for generations." Nari's colors shifted to a reassuring blue. "You helped uncover a plot against your own species. Whatever happens today, you've already proven humanity's value." The hall quieted as Ambassador Sun stepped onto the central platform. The investigation had cleared him personally of involvement in the sabotage, though his aide had been found guilty. Sun's tentacles moved in formal patterns as he addressed the assembly. "The Confederation Council has reached its decision regarding Earth's petition for membership," he announced. "After careful consideration of recent events, and in light of evidence presented by Ambassador Neri and Dr. Jai-Ho Kim, we have voted to grant humanity provisional membership in the Astral Confederation." A murmur ran through the crowd. Jai-Ho felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Furthermore," Sun continued, "to strengthen relations between our peoples, Ambassador Neri has requested and been granted permission to serve as the first permanent Confederation representative to Earth." Jai-Ho turned to Nari in surprise. Her colors displayed a pattern he had never seen before. Was it embarrassment? "You didn't mention this," he said quietly. "I wanted to be certain before telling you," she replied, her colors softening. "My superiors agreed that someone familiar with human physiology and culture would be ideal for the position." Captain Tai approached them, smiling broadly. "Congratulations, Dr. Kim. Your work with Ambassador Neri was instrumental in this outcome." "Thank you, Captain," Jai-Ho said. "But I'm just a xenobiologist who happened to be in the right place." "Sometimes that's all it takes," Tai replied. "The right person, asking the right questions, at the right time." She glanced at Nari, or perhaps the right two people, each seeing what the other might miss. After the formal proceedings concluded, Earth's officials hosted a celebration. Human food was served alongside dishes suitable for the various alien metabolisms. Music played as humans and aliens alike mingled in the grand hall. Jai-Ho found Nari by the large observation window, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. Her colors rippled with contemplative patterns. "It's beautiful," she said as he approached. "So much water, yet so much land. The perfect environment for bipedal species to evolve. And yet your species evolved in a similar environment before taking a different path," Jai-Ho observed. "Yes," Nari's colors shifted thoughtfully. "I've been thinking about that. Perhaps that's why I find humans so fascinating. You remind us of our own past, while showing us a different future than the one we chose." The music changed to a slow, melodic tune. Several humans moved to the center of the room and began to dance in pairs. Nari watched, her colors brightening with interest. "What are they doing?" "Dancing," Jai-Ho explained. "It's a cultural expression found in almost every human society." "It's beautiful," Nari said, her colors pulsing in rhythm with the music. "The way they move together, using those remarkable legs for something beyond mere locomotion." Jai-Ho smiled. "Would you like to try?" Nari's colors flashed with surprise. "Me? But I have no legs to dance with." "Dance isn't just about legs," Jai-Ho said, extending his hand. "It's about movement, rhythm, connection. We'll find our own way." Hesitantly, Nari placed her slender hand in his. Jai-Ho led her to a quiet corner of the dance floor. Slowly, he began to sway to the music, guiding Nari's fluid form to move with him. At first, their movements were awkward and uncoordinated. Jai-Ho's bipedal steps didn't match Nari's flowing motion. But gradually, they found a rhythm together. Not human dancing, not Nari's species movement, but something new created between them. "This is remarkable," Nari said, her colors glowing with joy. "We're creating a new form of movement together." As they continued their improvised dance, Jai-Ho noticed Dal and Quan watching from across the room. The two delegates who had most opposed human membership were observing with what appeared to be reluctant fascination. "I think we have an audience," Jai-Ho said quietly. Nari glanced over. "They're beginning to understand what I learned from you. That different evolutionary paths don't have to separate us. They can bring us together in new ways." As the music ended, they returned to the window overlooking Earth. The blue planet turned slowly below them, home to just one of countless paths that life had taken in the galaxy. "When I first came aboard your ship, I was fascinated by your legs, by what my species had lost," Nari said, her colors forming patterns of deep contentment. "Now I understand that the true gift of humanity isn't your physical form, but your ability to adapt, to find connections despite differences." Jai-Ho smiled. "And perhaps that's why the Confederation needs humanity. Not because we're stronger or smarter, but because we see possibilities where others might see only barriers." "My first official report as ambassador will emphasize this point," Nari said, her colors brightening with purpose. "Your species doesn't just walk differently, you see differently. That perspective may be humanity's greatest gift to the stars." As night fell over the Earth below them, the celebration continued around them. Humans and aliens together, taking their first steps into a shared future. Jai-Ho thought about how far they had come from that first awkward meeting, when Nari couldn't stop staring at his legs. What had begun as a fascination with physical differences had evolved into something much more meaningful, a recognition that those very differences could become the foundation for deeper understanding. In teaching Nari to dance, Jai-Ho had given physical expression to what they had both learned. That the paths that make us different can become the bridges that bring us together.